Alright, I don't want to waste your time showing the entire transformation because Lord knows this review is long enough. I just wanted to bring up something with Pyromagna's transformation into torso mode. So as you all know, in order to become a torso, you have to fold the arms up like this. Now on this side, there is a nice solid little peg-in spot right there. So it pegs in with a nice square slot here, and also the transformation peg that holds the vehicle part together also pegs in here, creating a nice solid piece. However, on this side, as you can see, there's no peg there. There's only a hole. So when I transform that, the only thing holding it together is that one rectangular slot. And the wheel keeps wanting to come off. So as you can see, that doesn't hold together as well. So, yeah, that part of the transformation comes undone really easily. And I don't like how easily that part of the transformation comes undone for torso mode. It is very unfortunate. Not good. So that, like, asymmetrical tolerances, unless I'm doing it wrong and I'm supposed to, like, be bringing the arm all the way up to here. But that can't be because the arm doesn't bend that far. So no, like, it's just really strongly and well pegged in on this side, but then not as strong here. There are other places where they could have put a peg. Like, it wouldn't have offended the symmetry of the figure that much to do it. So, like, because they didn't want to offend the symmetry by putting an extra peg hole, they really weakened the fidelity of the combined mode, and that is unfortunate. And I would have been remiss if I didn't mention that. Alright, so since the Victorion figure is so tall, I decided to do the review of her in vertical mode so I'll be able to capture more. So yeah, this is the assembled Victorion the way the instructions tell you, with the helicopters being the legs and the cars being the arms. According to the fiction, this affords her flight mode. And, well, the unified color scheme does look really good, because it just looks like one giant robot, as opposed to a hodgepodge. Although, if you kind of like the Power Rangers-esque aesthetic where the colors are different, well, you know, it is compatible with any other Combiner Wars figure, so go ahead, mix it up with your collections. So let's get her, like, I have her standing stock straight, but let's get some joints out. Okay, so there's a thing. The way the instructions would have you build the figure, like, okay. I now understand why they gave that Stunticon mold that weird hip design. It is for, you know what? Just look at my couch. Does that really interfere so much? Because that's getting annoying. Yeah, just look at my couch. It's just a couch. You like my couch. Alright, so, the reason the hips are built that way is so that this can be an elbow joint. Is that coming across? Perhaps I should zoom in more on that arm? Let's get a good zoom. Yeah, you see how that is supposed to be the elbow joint? But that's they engineered the hips specifically for that purpose, yet that's as far as a bend as an elbow it can give. In the end, it's actually a lot better to just rotate the waist joint 90 degrees and then use the knees and the hips as an elbow. Because look at how much more bend you get in that case. So, the reason they engineered that weird hip design for that one reason, and it doesn't even really work. So, I stand by what I said about the hips before. That is a really weird hip design, and there's no reason for that hip design to be so freaking weird. Yeah. So that's how I'm going to be keeping that arm for the rest of the review. Although, then, this way the arms you kind of have a Popeye arm problem. And, You know, that same deal with this. Like, you get a really deep elbow bend as long as you have them that way, but then you also have like a big old car hood as the forearm, so it still looks kind of weird. The head is just kind of swiveled. I know it's technically ball jointed, but it's so deeply recessed you don't really have much wiggle room, so it's just swivel basically. Then you have the rest of the joints. Let's get the arms up and out of the way for now, so I'll have free access to the hips. Oh dear, that is unfortunate. Oh wow, that totally caught that. There we go. I don't think that Rust Dust is serving a job as a blade of armor here. I think that maybe she has like a shield projector, because like to put your tiniest, weakest member who already has a crack as your chest plate protecting your center of mass, that just seems kind of cruel. So yeah, like as you can see, the arms, the combiner joints give them really good clickiness, but oh, look at that. Undid the shoulder. Yeah, so here is the biggest failing of the whole thing as a whole. They wanted to make sure that these joints would not flop, that they would support a great amount of weight without simply slumping over. So they gave them these nice heavy ratchets. The problem is, the ratchets are so heavy that if you're not careful, you're going to unpeg the transformation in the process of moving it. So every movement you do has to be guarded and careful, and you have to make sure that you're holding the rest of the figure closed while you're messing with it. Otherwise, you're just going to completely unpeg everything when you're trying to transform it. And that's, that's no good. That is no good at all. Alright, so, there is no place where this is more obvious than down here in the hips. Because look what happens when I try to move the hips outwards. Look at that. The entire assembly comes unpegged. For how strong these hip joints actually are, this is the absolute weakest peg to hold the transformation in place I've ever seen. There's essentially nothing holding this in place except for like a tiny friction tab. This tab here. This tab. There, that is the only thing that's holding this whole assembly down here together. And it's not strong enough. It is absolutely not strong enough. Not even to hold up the figure's weight, let alone anything else. I mean, this is just bad. Fortunately, like, gravity can hold it together. Although, like, yeah. It's because, like, man, really? That is all you have to hold the legs together? It's no good. There is no way that those pegs are strong enough to keep the legs together. It's just, like you have to carefully balance it and make sure that those pegs don't come undone. My battery is about to die. Just give me, forgive the quick jump cut here. Okay, so like I was saying, like, the transformation pegs that hold the thighs together are so ludicrously weak that it's comical. There is absolutely no way that they could have imagined that something this loose could actually have held up. I mean, is this a problem that all the iterations of this mold have? Because I might have to take some things I said earlier back. I mean, this is just epic fail. And you know what? These ratchets are so tight, I can't even get the leg back to be straight again. See, it wants to be out at this weird angle now. Man, this is like disappointing. is not... That last ratchet is super, super, super tight ratchets for outward movement. Absolutely no friction to hold the thigh in place. Where's the logic? Where is the logic? I mean, that's actually a really impressive knee bend. I did not expect a beyond 90-degree knee bend. That's awesome. And then you got the toe joint, because I think she's the only Combiner Wars figure that actually has a toe joint. But, these thighs, man! The thighs don't hold together, and that renders the entire leg posability moot. Like, oh my god, this is a figure that once you get it into a pose, you have to be afraid to even breathe on it because man, like, that is just sad. Like, when you have a big, gigantic Combiner figure it's huge and it's heavy, being able to peg together is the one most important feature. Yes, strong ratcheted joints that won't flop are important. But what's every bit as important is that it can actually stay together. The pegs need to be able to hold, and that is good joints are important, but the transformation pegs holding together are more important. So priority one in your combiners should be, can it hold together? I mean, congratulations, you accomplished the joint thing. I've no complaints about the joints. Even the non-ratcheting joints are nice and tight and can hold the figure. But that's only half the equation. And granted, above the waist it holds up fine. The arms work fine. And the knees work fine. And the feet work fine. The hips even work fine. The failure is not any of the joints, and 90% of the transformation pegs do indeed hold. The one weakness, but it's a pretty darn critical weakness, are the pegs to keep the thighs in place. Without strong pegs to hold these thighs in, you basically lose almost all the playability of the figure. And that is not good. That is not good at all. You know, now that I look at her all slumped over, hold on, let us. There we go. Since she's now squatted down in action-y pose, you no longer need the verticality of the video to get her entirely in there. So, Victorion is not just a big, impressive teal and red robot. Teal, sea green and red robot. She does have an accessory. So let's go ahead and equip that. I have no idea if this thing has an official name, but I'm going to call it the Victory Saber. Because holy crap, look at this. Look at that. Isn't that not just like the coolest sword? This is some Blade of Destiny right here. And it has like a gun. It's a gun blade. So Vicky here, she can't really hold it as a gun because the sword... Wait. Actually, no, she can hold it as a gun. Look at that. Look at that. She's holding it as a gun. And yes, the joints are just tight enough that she can actually hold it up like that. Isn't that awesome? So yeah. Of course, you don't get such an epic-looking sword to hold it like a gun. You get an epic-looking sword to hold it as a sword. And you put it into the peg on her hand, and yes, that looks brilliant. And I just unpegged the arm. This is what I was saying. Your joints are only half the equation. You need to have good pegs. Pegs are very important. So, yeah, and also, you know what? That's the other problem. Cars as arms. Look. Okay, I will admit, the helicopters make nice legs. They do indeed. those are pretty cool. Like, they got those blades on the front. They they look cool. They integrate really well with the feet, because like the robot feet match right up with the Gestalt feet. It's all well and good. But, you know, like, the cars are way too fat and bulky to be arms. I mean, this would probably work on the this works with the Stunticons, because their combined form is supposed to be like a big burly Popeye He-Man thing, but this is Victorion, and my god, that last Ratchet is going to kill me. Alright, let's swap things around to my preferred method, with the helicopters as arms and the cars as legs. Keep in mind, the instructions don't tell you how to do this. This is something that I had to figure out by looking up the instructions for the characters on the internet, because the instruction sheet for this set sucks. Okay, so here is Victorion with the helicopters made as arms and the cars made as legs. Now, I think this looks a lot better. I don't want to say that it's because she looks more feminine, but it's because she looks more feminine. Like, the helicopters just make slimmer, more graceful looking arms that don't have so much of a big Popeye thing going on. And the cars make really good legs. I mean, basically they're just cars with their hoods folded down into big old kneecaps. I find that giving them like a quarter, like an eighth twist outward actually helps make it more stable, because when everything is folded forward, then she gets kind of like floppy. She wants to fall forward, but you know, you do that, and then repoint the feet, and yeah, holds together much better this way. So yeah, like, of course she still has the same problems. Like, that's the thing, like, because of the flaw in the clips holding her thighs in place, no matter what joint, no matter what limb setup you have, you're going to have the exact same problem that when you try to pose the legs, this is going to want to come untransformed. It's unfortunate, but that is what you're going to have to deal with. So, yeah, like, the only problem, aside from the joint thing, the only problem with having the helicopters as arms is that there's no good place for their arms to peg in. Like, when they're legs, you can peg into this peg right here on the side. But let's zoom into that arm peg so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, yeah, you're seeing her crotch. It's there. Okay, so you see, there's this peg right here that the arm pegs into. But to peg it into there would mean that the arm would be hovering over the space, which is needed to give her an elbow. An elbow that has a very good range. Yeah, very, very good range. Problem is that, you know, with the arm there, it wouldn't be able to move, so deal with it. She also has a bicep swivel because of the waist rotation. She has a bicep swivel because of the waist rotation no matter what part you use, but I didn't mention that before. And you know, it's good. It's really good. As long as her thighs aren't falling off, you have a really good looking robot. And it looks really good holding the Victory Saber, which I will reinsert there. Yeah, so let us take a quick pan from top to bottom to show zoomed in. The big reveal here is the new Gestalt mode's head. Victorion has a very nice head. It looks awesome. It's very well sculpted. The tall rectangular helmet is, I mean, it just looks like a big, awesomely crested helmet. Some have given the helmet flack, but I think it looks really good. She just has a really, really good head, and she has like a visor that comes down over her sculpted-in eyes, which is just fantastic. I mean, there's just nothing wrong with it. It looks really darn fantastic. With the helicopters, you have some nice shoulder accoutrements. And like I said, they're much slimmer and more graceful this way. So they're definitely my preferred arms. Like I said, that Victory Saber is freaking sexy as hell. And then her feet are feet. You know, like there's no hand-foot gun here. She has feet that are feet and hands that are hands. So it's always funny because with the other combiners, the feet look really small because, you know, they're only the size of hands. But this one, it looks good. It looks really good. So let's get her into an interesting pose and finish this up. So Victorion actually can hold some really cool poses. It's just that you have to be careful getting her into those poses because of the aforementioned joint tolerances. It's a shame to see a figure so over-engineered in some aspects and then under-engineered in others. So this figure was definitely designed to be a display piece. It's not so much meant to be played with. That's the fate of something that's designed from the ground up to be a collector thing rather than it's a thing for collectors and enthusiasts first and a real toy second. Still, it does look really cool. And as I said before, I really prefer the configuration with the helicopters as arms and the cars as legs, because that just seems to be, you know, that flows better. You have big, powerful legs and slimmer, more graceful arms. That just seems to be how things would work. Yeah, screw those instruction sheets. They're the worst ever, and Hasbro should be ashamed of themselves. But, other than that, it's actually pretty good. Alright, so, this has been Wake Angel 2001, talking about Victorion, and I'm signing off.